The Midwest Old Threshers Reunion in Mount Pleasant, Iowa celebrates the people and machines that helped run America in years gone by. Since 1950, the reunion has attracted visitors nationwide to see everything from horse-drawn farm equipment to tractors, traction engines, and classic cars and trucks in operation, as demonstrators perform the tasks of day-to-day life in old farming communities. Of course, a proper representation of small-town America wouldn't be complete without a railroad, and Old Threshers does not disappoint. In this video, we're going to take a look at the train-related attractions and more from the 2022 Old Threshers Reunion. Old Threshers is held every year for 5 days, ending on Labor Day, the first Monday in September. The reunion grounds are in McMillan Park, located on the south side of Mount Pleasant. Circling McMillan Park is the narrow-gauge Midwest Central Railroad. The Midwest Central came to be in the late 1950s after a group of Old Threshers organizers wanted to bring railroading to the reunion, and by 1960, the group had its first steam locomotives and a short segment of track built to run trains. Before long, Midwest Central volunteers constructed a full 1 1/4 mile loop of track around the grounds and built a number of custom passenger cars. With the acquisition of more equipment, including additional steam engines, diesel engines, and rolling stock, riding the Midwest Central quickly became a popular attraction to Old Threshers visitors. Today, more than 60 years later, the railroad is still chugging along as countless volunteers keep these historic trains running for future generations to enjoy. Along with running at the Old Threshers Reunion, the railroad also puts on other annual events in McMillan Park, including a Halloween ghost train and Christmas train rides to the North Pole during the holiday season. Let's take a look at some of the engines in operation on the Midwest Central. One of the first steam locomotives acquired by the railroad was engine number 6, a 260 Mogul built in 1891 by the Baldwin Locomotive Works. This engine's livery represents the first railroad it operated on, the Surrey, Sussex, and Southampton, a narrow-gauge line in Virginia that ran until 1930. Number 6 later operated in South Carolina at the Argent Lumber Company until the mid-1950s, before being purchased by Midwest Central and brought to Mount Pleasant. 6 was the first engine to run on the railroad for the 1960 Old Threshers Reunion and is the prize of Midwest Central's fleet. Originally a wood burner, the locomotive now runs on oil after an extensive overhaul completed in 1988. Another locomotive running at this year's reunion is engine D9, a diesel hydraulic. This locomotive was built in 1956 by Plymouth and was first operated at the Carbon Limestone Company's 38-inch narrow-gauge line in Pennsylvania. In the 1980s, Carbon Limestone changed owners and the company shut down the railroad. D9 and its sister locomotive, number 14, were purchased by Midwest Central in the 1990s and regauged to 36-inch track for operation in Mount Pleasant. While 14 went into service with Midwest Central right away, D9 has just recently been restored, first running at the 2021 Old Threshers Reunion. During its restoration, D9 was repainted into carbon limestone's gray and orange paint scheme. Along with Engine 6, Midwest Central has another operating steam locomotive. Number 9 is a former West Side Lumber Company 3-truck Shay built by the Lima Locomotive Works in 1923. This heavy-geared locomotive operated in West Side's logging camps in California until arriving in Mount Pleasant in the mid-1960s. In 2011, Engine 9 was loaned to the Georgetown Loop Railroad in Colorado to pull excursion trains up and down the mountains, before returning to Midwest Central in 2019. Unfortunately, due to some needed maintenance leading up to the reunion, 9 did not operate in 2022. To allow you to see what this engine normally looks like during Old Threshers, we're going to take a brief look back at some unreleased footage of Engine 9 as it pulled trains at the 2021 reunion. Engines 6 and D9 pull their trains on the railroad's southern portion of trackage near the South Station. The South Station is surrounded by numerous other Old Threshers attractions, including the tractor and traction engine display area, threshing and sawmill demonstrations, and the adjacent Old Threshers Museum buildings filled with many different exhibits.
Prior to this year's reunion, extensive work was done along Midwest Central's east side. The original pedestrian crossing at this location, leading to a small campsite on the other side of the tracks, has been transformed to allow the passage of full-sized vehicles. Also new to this spot is the addition of a restored Griswold crossing signal. On the south side of the railroad, we see other equipment on Midwest Central's roster. Diesel Hydraulic Unit 14 stands in front of the shop building, and you may notice shay number 9 in the shops behind it. Surrounding the yard is other miscellaneous rolling stock on sidings nearby. Several flat cars from Alaska's White Pass and Yukon narrow gauge line are here, and with them the tenders for steam engines that are either being restored or are candidates for restoration. Engine 16 is an 040 tank engine from Germany, built in 1951, that has seen a number of years of operation in Mount Pleasant and will run again when boiler repairs are completed in the future. Inside the South Station, a siding holds more Midwest Central equipment, including a flat car and box cars from the old Rio Grande narrow gauge routes in the western U.S. In front of these is a newer addition to Midwest Central's fleet, Argent Lumber Company No. 1, a 260 steam engine built in 1914. Coincidentally, this locomotive operated right alongside Engine 6 while at the lumber company throughout the first half of the 20th century. After Argent closed down, the engine went to Florida to run at an amusement park until the 80s, when it was transferred to private ownership. Midwest Central purchased the engine in 2018, arriving in Mount Pleasant in early 2019. Of course, Old Threshers wouldn't be a proper display of old horsepower without horses themselves. There are 2 barns featuring these wonderful farm animals, and each year during the reunion they participate in the daily Cavalcade of Power parade and the large draft horse pull in front of the grandstands, attracting a huge crowd of spectators every year. The horses can also be seen pulling old farm plows and wagons of passengers around this area. Midwest Central trains cut in between the 2 barns on the railroad's west side as the trains wind their way around towards the North Depot. Engine 6 pulls into the North Village based on a Wild West late 1800s town, a very popular area for Old Threshers visitors. Midwest Central's North Station is here, formerly the depot of Hillsboro, Iowa, a town near Mount Pleasant.
We're on board Rio Grande Flat Car 6206 for a round-trip ride aboard the railroad. Midwest Central has converted this car into an open-air passenger car. Returning to the North Village, let's get off and take a look at a couple of other Old Threshers attractions. Old Threshers has an area near the North Village devoted to gas engines.
There are a number of these engines on display and in operation throughout the reunion, and in their heyday they were used to operate water pumps, generate electricity, and run small machinery. Printers Hall is located in the Old Threshers Museum buildings near Midwest Central Railroad's South Station. The hall shows how newspapers and books were set by hand, then printed on a number of vintage printing presses. In addition to running demonstrations and creating many different souvenirs to buy during Old Threshers, a region-wide printers fair is also put on here in late summer. Walking through the museum buildings to the other side, we've made it to Old Thresher's other railroad attraction, the Midwest Electric Railway. Midwest Electric is a standard gauge trolley line first operating in 1971, circling the Old Threshers campgrounds with a main depot near the museums and 5 other stops. If you're camping at the reunion, it's a great way to get from the main Old Threshers grounds back to your site, using the many convenient stops in the campgrounds, and the trolleys also take visitors to the log village on the south end of the line. Midwest Electric has several trolleys and streetcars in their collection. This year, 4 different cars were in operation. Outside the main depot, we see 3 of these cars as they make their stops, first to let people off, then to load more passengers traveling into the campgrounds. Like Midwest Central's North Station, the main depot is another authentic Iowa train station. This one moved from Yarmouth, another town near Mount Pleasant. New for this year, Midwest Electric upgraded its work car 1100 with an enclosed platform for passengers to ride. This car was last operated by Ameren UE on a short railway atop the Mississippi River Lock and Dam 19 in Keokuk, Iowa. Car 320 is a former Chicago, Aurora, and Elgin interurban built in the early 1900s that operated on its home railroad until the late 50s and for a time ran on a short electrified line in southern Iowa before arriving in Mount Pleasant. We were on board 320 as we make a ride on the Midwest Electric to the log village. The log village is a recreation of a small American town on the frontier in the mid-1800s. Volunteers reenact the pioneers' everyday work, as well as entertainment that was common in the era. This is the most popular stop on the Midwest Electric's line, with countless Old Threshers visitors stepping off here each day of the reunion. At the Log Village station, we see the trolleys making their stops, including interurban car 320, work car 1100, and open-air trolley 1718. Another open-air car on the Midwest Electric, number 1779, did not operate at this year's reunion. Even with the conversion of 1100 for passenger use, the lack of 1779 created a shortage of operable cars, and it created large lines of people at the Log Village waiting for their ride back up the line.
Wait, come on, let's get out of the line and go over there.
Eventually, we make it to the platform and board 1718 for our return to the main depot. A short walk from Midwest Electric's main depot is the Smile Machine, Old Thresher's steam carousel. Built in the late 1800s, the carousel has been a popular attraction at the Reunion for decades, and in the early 2000s was moved to its current location in a special building. The ride operates using a steam engine that powers a track machine underneath. Two band organs nearby provide the music, including a portable variation that often visits during Old Threshers. Now we've returned to the Midwest Central Railroad for our last round of narrow-gauge trains at Old Threshers. During the last couple days of the 2022 reunion, Plymouth Diesel number 14 was seen pulling trains along with D9.
Arkansas, Missouri Railroad, 3 and 9-hour passenger train ride.
you've had a great time at yet another fantastic year at the Midwest Old Threshers Reunion. As the day's festivities come to an end, darkness falls over the grounds, with many going to the grandstands for free country music shows featuring popular artists from today and years past. For us, we'll get one last look at the trains as they pass through the grade crossing near Midwest Central's shops and the South Station, and then it's time to head home. This is Bobby Harvey. I hope you've enjoyed this program from Mount Pleasant. I'll see you next year for more scenes along the Midwest Central Railroad and Midwest Electric Railway. Thanks for watching.